I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry. My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say? So I try to sit down with my wife and watch TV, but I just see propaganda elevating the police in the simplest of sitcom banter, and tiny little altars full of offerings to corporate masters in every well-planned wide pan shot of the name brand stocking up the pantry. Pull back one long tracking shot out to the garage to the logo on the Camry. Nice tight shot of the Camry. Close-up view of the Camry, slow pan up on the Camry, long slow zoom to the unmoving human who's up in the front with the tube pumping fumes to him straight from the back of the Camry. Ashamed he just could not provide for himself, let alone for his family. It's a blue pill mindset that spent 2020 making dance beats. I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride, and thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry. Ignorance is bliss, which explains why a lot of us are so fucking happy. Quick to take the trip for all its trappings. Never one to ask what's up, what's going on, or God forbid what's happening. A lot of us would strap into the ride and then spit right in the eye of the guy whose job it is to snap your fastenings. But maybe we're all born with that capacity. Maybe each of us comes standard with humor, compassion, malice, and audacity. Some of us are blind to the system, but some see it fine and say this is how it has to be. Some of us can stare wide-eyed at a nationwide human catastrophe and only offer platitudes and recipes. And I wish that I could tell myself that nothing's worth obsessing past my everyday necessities. I wish that I could cry fake news over anything that threatened me, tune out our abuses and consume a little levity. Wish that I could offer up my son a smoother destiny. Wish I had some better lessons for how best to answer questions for the things I've been perpetually questioning. But I'm too busy looking at our leaders, wondering what I might be missing from their messaging. Trying to find the reasoning to let 250,000 people meet an early reckoning. And even though I know the truth, it's hard to swallow something that's so literally sickening. Hope is ever dwindling, COVID ever beckoning. Winter slows your breathing, but your pulse is ever quickening. Even though I know the truth, it's hard to keep listening. I'm done with my epiphany, my innocence is blistering. I'd like to think I'd taste the earth before I'd ever kiss the ring. Hard to speak the truth and harder still to keep listening. Sometimes I think I miss being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. Thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. Both bleed us so dry. Both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
Legend says that Hercules swept Cerberus right off his feet and effortlessly set him down softly as a songbird. Atlas kept the world upon his back and every day wondered whether he could stand it any longer. And Tara Reid came out to say the man they tried to label the messiah of morality was really just another rapist. And I don't intend to hesitate when asked who was the stronger. Tara, like Assange, knew that carrying the truth would be the hardest labor. Tara knew that her assailant wasn't gonna make us any safer. And knew he's just the type of man to hand a decent foreign leader US printed walking papers. And knew he'd be relentless and aggressive in the war he'd wage upon her very character. That his attempts to weaken and degrade and embarrass her would be her only compensation. But I strongly doubt that anyone could ever have foreseen the stream of hate that came from quote-unquote progressives and the self-styled titans of survivor advocation. So if you really think there's something to be gained out of sharing your pain with the world, you are sorely mistaken. The Biden team just dragged their feet addressing Tara's allegations until they had a decent...
Hi everybody, this is Indy. Let's turn this off. I think you're seeing Rob. Wait, why are you seeing Rob twice? Hold on. Hey, you're not supposed to see that. What's going on there? Ah! Hold on. Yeah. Okay, that's the other Rob. That's the other Rob. Okay, I'm missing something. What happened to that? Okay, I'm missing a scene. Where's INN? This is embarrassing. 2-shot. Okay, hey guys, so what's going on? This is one of the benefits of live streaming. There you go. Now we've got that, and we have to put that single box behind the background. And there's Rob. Hey, now we're good. Hi everybody. And now if we do that, we should see in the 2-shot. No, what is going on? Hey, we got it right. Okay, there we go. Hi, everybody. This is Indy and Rob for real now. And this is one-on-one, and we always have editing, and awesome. Thank you for GoStart for sharing. Hey, Rob.
How's it going, man?
That was a little choppy. Welcome to the live stream experience. Hi, everybody. This is one-on-one. And again, this is just some time for Rob and I to hang out, or for me to hang out with any INN member, talk about networks, talk about organizing, talk about streaming, talk about platforms, talk about everything. So some interesting stuff's been happening today. So we announced yesterday, it was announced that Rob is going to be one of the participants at the March for Medicare for All event that will be raising, I guess this is a fundraiser for the event that's going to be happening live on July 30th in Washington, D.C. And so we're going to have a streaming event to help cover some of our costs. I actually am going to be at Independent Left News sponsoring the event, co-sponsoring with Real Progressives in Action and some other folks. Savage Joy is going to be hosting. INN's Jesse Jett is going to be playing music. And again, I'm just super excited about it. And so, of course, we put up the flyer, and here come the Hive trolls that claim they want March for Medicare. They want Medicare for all, but what are they doing? They're just kind of tweeting, grifter, this is a grift. That's all we've seen this morning from, I don't know, 25 people, maybe. What do you think?
Yeah. We're grifting with all of the, like 5 cents we're going to take home personally from streaming this shit. It's like they look at, for instance, my channel or Savage Joy's channel. Like, we don't make enough to even like live on. What are you talking about, man? I don't make anything off of my channel, but it's ridiculous. It's just they go after everybody that doesn't want to give all of their money to more progressives in Congress. They want all the poor people to pour all their money into people like AOC. So AOC can go out and do what she does best and what she's already done in the past, which is give a lot of her money to blue dog Democrats like Connor Lamb. That's what they think is organizing, and that's what they think is a good use of your money. Don't give that money to the people, organizing a march for Medicare for all that we already did last year that was a success. Give your money to AOC so she can give it to the Democratic Party. That's what they think is organizing and is a effective way to get Medicare for all. So it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Right. I could go on all day.
Give it to AOC so she could then turn around and give it to corporate Democrats for the DNC.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. Exactly. That's what they'll say. It's like, no. Let's donate to more Justice Democrats. Get more Justice Democrats in there and redonate to people like AOC who go in there and then give away your donation money to people who aren't even for Medicare for all. It's fucking silly people.
I mean, it's Manchin, it's Cinema, it's the parliamentarian, it's the rotating villain that we're going to end up hearing about at some point. And that's why we don't have it. And that's why they're not fighting for Medicare for all. I still don't understand what they're exactly doing while they're complaining about the fact that we are trying to organize something to raise awareness, to raise money, to have an event, a protest in person, and again, to bring awareness and to show people in Congress and people all over that, and have not just the march in D.C., but people who want to organize all over the country on July 30th and do that.
Yeah. Most of the people involved in this aspire to organize and inspire other people in the way of like Malcolm X or Fred Hampton. These motherfuckers go out there and they're aspiring to be Jeff in Miami. So congratulations, your hero is Jeff in Miami. That's not that's not the way I want to organize.
Right? Yeah. These are the people that claim that they want Medicare for all, and that's what I find is the funniest part of this whole thing is they're not organizing. They're trying to encourage elected officials to what? I mean, they've got people there that aren't challenging, that aren't even talking about Medicare for all. Really, they had a hearing. It was nice for a day. It was like the poverty stories again. It's like the same thing that they do. They kind of pat it on the head with unions and with the Amazon union. We talk about it for a day and then we go back to the rest of the news and they forget about it. It's like there's no consistency follow up. It's the platitudes, and it's really frustrating because there are people laser focused on issues and they don't want to listen to or talk to those people because they bring up things that are uncomfortable to the politicians.
Yeah. If these progressives in Congress actually cared about this, you'd see at least some of them tweeting about how Joe Biden can give Medicare for all via Section 1881 Alpha of the Social Security Act. But you don't even see them rhetorically going along with something like that. So they don't care even enough to point out that this could be done easily because of the pandemic. They don't even do that. So these people, they exist to neutralize momentum for Medicare for all by going out there and acting like basically how Hassan Piker was before the General Strike Summit. They go, they're overly reductive about it, and they go, well, these people are organizing from their homes, they're doing a stream and they count that as organizing. It's like, no, 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 there's a lot to organizing. One of the things that helps organizing go smoothly is having a big platform to help get people involved in it. That's what we're using our shows for and our
Mhm.
channels for. So it's overly reductive to be like, oh, these people are just armchair activists. No, most of the people involved in this are commentators, activists on the side, and they also have jobs. So we're doing everything we can, and we're using our channels as a tool to help our activism. And it's ridiculous when you come out and you do the Jeff in Miami thing where you go out there and act like we're not actually doing anything because we're using our channels to effectively organize our event. So it's stupid. No one really buys what these people are laying down. I don't think. I think that everybody can kind of realize that when they call people grifter, they're projecting quite a bit. A lot of these people are heavily invested in protecting the status quo and particularly protecting the squad and progressives in Congress. And they want your money to be spent on progressives in Congress rather than spending your money donating to people who are doing activism outside the duopoly. That's what I think is going on. It's really sad. And of course, if you look at any of these people's Twitters, for instance, you always notice that they have almost no followers. like like they're these tiny little, either they're straight up bots or they're these useful idiots who have no followers who just go out there and spew the grifter or the armchair activist talking points. That's why I went after Hassan Piker before the General Strike Summit, is because he's overly reductive in talking about how the General Strike Summit doesn't do anything. Yeah, right. That had a ton of views, and we had a whole bunch of great ideas passed along. And note to self, that's how you do activism. That's how you organize, is you get as many eyeballs as you can on the information and then try to invite people to the event using your channels. But they never actually explain it that way. They act like we're doing nothing.
And let me tell you, it is a lot of work, coordination, time, volunteer, again, organizing to get everybody together that has a platform to be able to get together on a specific day at a specific time and coordinate all of this. It it is a tremendous lift, and that's one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about today is what are the logistical struggles that go into organizing a marathon stream type of event like this, where you're bringing people who have different technology, different skills, different levels of engagement with how much they even are used to being on camera or doing Zoom type of streams, or being in a live stream roundtable type of panel setting. That's just to begin with, let alone the actual logistics of how many channels are you going to stream it to, which platforms is it going to appear on, how many people are you going to have moderating chats. I mean, you've participated in a few of these things. I don't know if you know how much you've run on the back end, but you know, we use the streaming software and then showing how do you show the live chat like we're doing right now on the screen. I mean, there are so many different little things that have to come together. Again, your experience from participating in these marathons and seeing the amount of preparation that goes into it, the amount of time and money invested in making sure that you have the software and all the tools to do that, right?
Yeah, and I haven't done a whole lot on the back end. I'll like invite certain people or let them know that I'm going to be on there, and that if they want to participate, they're welcome to. But mostly like for instance, our INN sister Lucy at Blue Moon Red Wine did the student loan strike summit. And after she was done with that, she was so exhausted that she had to take a break for like a week or two afterwards, because it just takes it out of you. Same thing with Revolutionary Blackout Network doing the General Strike Summit. It's not easy. You got to coordinate schedules. You got to reach out to as many as 10, 20, 30, 40 people and make sure that everybody's on board, and then double checking, making sure everybody has their links. And then there's, like you said, moderators, people that are making sure that it's streaming correctly and that all the right buttons are pushed. I don't know how that stuff works. You guys are wizards in my mind for even being able to do it. But yeah, like it's not an easy thing to do. And organizing online to get like the word out about these events, that's still organizing. That's just an arm of organizing an event in 2022. And for all these people that act like we're not doing anything, it's like, what do you want me to do? Go stand on a soapbox in the middle of the park and yell and tell them I'm going to be on doing this, or I'm going to be at this event, helping out this strike or a union or whatever? No, we have between us, especially, thousands of people that watch our channels. So the most effective way for us to get people to show up for said event is by using these organizing summits online. And again, they're overly reductive about it because they're not actually trying to help get a whole bunch of people to organize around Medicare for all. They exist to protect the squad, which they believe is the most effective way for us to get Medicare for all. But of course, we've gone over it a million times. The squad doesn't give a damn about getting Medicare for all. They didn't try to force the vote. They take all your donation money and give it to blue dog Democrats who don't support Medicare for all. So all of these people are just, in my mind, they're kind of pathetic because they could just keep their damn mouth shut. Like Hassan Piker and Jeff in Miami, they could just leave us alone. That's the minimum you could do if you actually gave a shit. But no, they go out and actively attack us, which leaves me and you and most of the INN people no choice but to attack them back. So they always seem to be trying to nerf progress when it comes to Medicare for all, when it comes down to a pragmatic way of actually organizing around it. It makes them very suspect, if you ask me. Do they really want this stuff, or do they really just worship the squad members and play defense for them at every turn, regardless of how shitty they are? I don't know. You guys decide.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I think it's kind of embarrassment. It's like, well, you guys are doing something great, like good for you, but like again, where's that Miami March for Medicare for all? I'd probably go.
Yeah.
Like look,
that's what I'm saying, and we would not attack him.
That. Like if he wants to organize, good for him. But what he's organizing is a troll farm and a troll factory to go after actual organizers and poor people on behalf of the boutique, or the managerial left, or whatever you want to call them, the progressive left, unfortunately, and I've been seeing that more and more, and I hate, again, because we're part of the event is the real progressives, and they're tremendous advocates for Medicare for all, and they're all about how you pay for it with MMT. I think that's a great idea. I'm cool with all of that. And any way we want to pay for it, even if we want to pay for it by reducing our military and funding it however we need to fund it. Every other country in the world has this figured out for the most part. So, again, I'm going to continue to be an
Medicare for
advocate.
all actually saves money. I mean, that's the thing that people don't realize is the Medicare for all system would cost something like, I think it's $33 trillion over 10 years, but our current system costs 40, depending on what study you look at, it costs like 40 trillion, maybe a little bit less than that. The the Koch funded study said that Medicare for all saves 2 trillion. The Amherst University of Massachusetts Amherst study says that it saves 5 trillion. And I've seen other studies that say that it saves more than that over a decade. So it saves somewhere between 200 and 500 billion dollars a year. So it doesn't cost extra. There's a million ways that we could actually pay for it. Just doing something like a tax on the stock market would do it. Something like that. Reducing the military budget would do it. Taxing billionaires would do it. A combination of those things is I think the best way to make sure that it gets paid for. But your taxes as an individual that makes a decent or less than $400,000 a year would not increase if you're getting a Medicare for all system. And just to go back to your original point, if Jeff in Miami actually did organize something like that, I would promote it on my show and I would go, good job, Jeff. That's the difference between them and us, is that if Hassan Piker went out there and did a general strike summit on his show, I'd be the first person to be like, holy shit, he's actually using his show to organize. That would be great. I would not hold a grudge whatsoever. I would immediately go out and be like, good job, Hassan Piker. But they don't do the same thing for us. They want it their way, which is the way that's not working. And it hasn't been working for the last 40 years, which is just sheepdogging more people into the Democratic Party. and that hasn't gotten us anywhere so far. If anything, we're going backwards because we've put more Democrats in office, and now the Democrats have a complete majority in Congress, and we're farther away from Medicare for all than we ever have been. Joe Biden's not even talking about a public option, which he campaigned on. So, I mean, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? The Democrats that are elected right now have a tremendous amount of power, including the squad, to actually force Joe Biden to give it to us via executive order, and they're not even saying it. So these people don't have a plan. Their whole function is to look like they have a plan, give the facade that they have a plan for Medicare for all, and to smear people like us who are actually trying to come up with a plan and who are building momentum for it outside of the duopoly. So it's, I would love nothing more than for these people that consistently smear us for doing these summits to do their own summits. That would make me very happy. And in fact, when Breaking Points did their summit with a bunch of people I don't particularly agree with to help Julian Assange, what did I do? I immediately, within an hour, came out with an episode on my show saying, good job for Breaking Points. That includes Crystal, Kyle, I think Marianne Williamson was there. Katie Halper was on there. They had a bunch of other people on as well. And they did a long stream, kind of like we've been doing for the last couple of years. And I was super happy to give them credit. I wish they could do the same for us, but they don't. They exist to nerf momentum, not create it.
Yeah, that I think that was actually Katie organized that on her channel with Crystal, Bree, Marianne Williamson. I seem to remember. Well, it was out the candidates thing. I don't remember. There were a couple of different ones, but the Julian Assange. Look, every time they do any kind of a stream, the only thing that I would love for them to continue to do also was to invite activists. But they did. One of them I remember they invited Richard Medhurst, which was awesome. That he was actually in the gallery. It seemed with Kevin Gostola, and I know that the Shiptons were at one of them. There were a bunch of events in New York City just this past week still. And of course, we want to talk about press freedom, and we definitely want to talk about Julian Assange and what's happened to him. I know it's been talked about a ton, but we have to continue to talk about the fact that he's about to be extradited for doing journalism and for publishing. And it's for the Iraq war logs, and thank goodness AMLO is going to go and make an appeal. I wonder if it's going to do any good. Probably not, but he's at least going to go and tell Biden, look, I'll take him and make sure that he's at least not tortured in prison. But I think that's exactly what the Democrats and to a point the Republicans too also want to see happen. They just don't want to continue to see leaks coming out. He exposed stuff from the Bush administration. He exposed stuff from the Obama administration. He's exposed stuff about all over the country, all over the world, the military. I mean, it's a rough deal. And it could be there another 6 months because they're appealing right now. I was on that Action for Assange with Misty just last week when they had the announcement that night or the night after. It's really hard because as someone who amplifies and publishes independent news, if I get a story that comes across my website that I didn't even publish, does that make me potentially liable because I'm retweeting it or it's included in my newsletter? I mean, now the government can basically, it opens it up to those kinds of questions. So.
And that's the way they want you to feel. That's the way they want all of us to feel. Assange is a martyrdom. He is being treated this way, not just because he exposed war crimes, like the collateral murder video and what we were doing in Afghanistan and Iraq, but he is meant to be like a symbol that if you go after, or if you whistleblow, or if you do good journalism that expose the American empire, we will ruin your life and we will torture you. So it's meant to, he is being used as a way to discourage doing the good journalism that he did. And that's why he is so important and why we need to protect him and why we need to get him out by any means necessary. And also why, Mike Pompeo's CIA, according to that Yahoo investigation, even found out that there was, at the highest levels of the CIA, they were planning on possibly assassinating Julian Assange. Because again, they want to send a message to the rest of us. They want us all to be uncomfortable if we talk about anything that has to do with America's shady dealings overseas, coup attempts, war crimes, stuff that we do routinely as a hegemon. They want to make sure that we're too afraid to report on it. So it's an unfortunate series of events that's happened with Julian. Of course, now he's on the verge of being extradited to the United States. I don't know if you saw, the president of Mexico, AMLO, said that he would in fact take Julian into Mexico. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they're going to appeal, and that's going to be drawn out a little bit longer. And we just have to keep our pedal to the metal fighting for Julian, because if he gets extradited here, it's as good as a death sentence. I think we all kind of know that. And if I may, one further point, one of the people we were just talking about who try to nerf momentum for things like this, they go after Jimmy Dore regularly. But if you notice, Jimmy Dore had Misty on recently. As soon as he saw that there was going to be that extradition, that Priti Patel, the UK Home Secretary, signed off on that extradition, he immediately brings someone with a small platform onto his huge platform so that she can get her very good, Assange rhetoric out there. Misty, of course. And I love that. Why can't other people, I would love nothing more than for the TYTs of the world to allow some of these people who are really for getting Assange out to use their platform. But of course, we know TYT is not for Assange being allowed out. In fact, they turned on him because they thought that he didn't release nearly enough on Trump. Basically, he released the Podesta emails on Clinton, but what they wanted him to do was also release stuff on Trump. We don't know if he even had anything on Trump, so I don't know what the hell that was. But of course, the TYT would never allow anybody like Comrade Misty on their show to access their audience, because they're not for free speech. They're not for protecting Julian Assange at all. And that's why you and I and all the rest of the INN and all the other networks go after them routinely. I think we disagree quite a bit on free speech and freedom of the press in this country and across the world.
Well, again, protests, mutual aid, strikes are things that, again, I don't even want, honestly, and it's really funny. Chris, Emo Dragon, C Dubs, these are friends, old friends, and I'm so glad to see you guys. And yeah, let's talk. Let's have these conversations. And but yeah, and again, Emo Dragon saying Assange should be freed. Again, we see eye to eye on a lot of things. We really do. I know that there's a lot of back and forth, and there's some blocking back and forth that's definitely happened out there. But at least we can come together on something like that. C Dubs, Chris Williams, I want to address your question also about the funding for March for Medicare for All and being transparent. Just a ramp to get a wheelchair ramp to get to the stage is $1,000. We are not going to make anywhere close to $1,000 even to have this, on top of the fact that we're going to have it there. And will there be transparency? I'm sure there will be, but I don't run that event. I'm not the financier. I'm not the organizer of it. I'm not the manager of it. I don't control their finances. I'm streaming it. I am a sponsor. I am a supporter of Medicare for All and of any organizing event that's going to raise awareness and bring a bunch of people with platforms together to talk about the importance of having that right now and pressuring our lawmakers that are there right now and figuring out what is a solution. How do we replace some of these people with people who aren't corporate bought, who aren't paid for by big pharma? And I think that we all started there. We all started there 2 years ago, and some of us are still stuck in Bernie land. And unfortunately, some say Bernie still fights for us, but unfortunately, and he tries. But he's up against a machine that is just a mountain. And we love Bernie to a point, but it's like, at the same time, Bernie kind of gaslights at this point. He does a lot of gaslighting. He shows up at the end of a strike after the workers have been suffering for so long. He doesn't call much attention to it. The company's already settled, and now they just want everyone to shut up. And here comes Bernie to take his photo op. Now, when it came to Chris Smalls, we have a whole other conversation about Chris Smalls, where we did not want the union at all to be politicized, and he turned around and he and AOC had to show up at the union, the organizing event, to try to get light and try to get more people. But what it also did was it polarized everybody that wasn't a progressive and wasn't with AOC and with Bernie at the moment. That includes right-wingers. That includes independents. that includes a lot of non-political people that just see the whole thing as a game and a charade, and that he's now hobnobbing with politicians, and that kind of gave them a poor feeling. And look what happened in Staten Island a few days later. It was a lot less likely, and it was a real close vote, and nobody can say whether that influence did or did not have any impact on what that vote was going to be, whether positive or negative, because a lot of the people that worked in that warehouse, they did not vote blue. So seeing those people there did not necessarily encourage them seeing their leader hanging out with the politicians and going and shaking hands with Joe Biden. That's really the my assessment of it. Again, I'm glad that you guys are here, and I do appreciate you. And there doesn't, again, we all do want Medicare for all. Seriously, that's what we want. We want everyone to be able to have health care. That's all. So if you've got ways of fighting for it and pushing people to do so and making that actually happen publicly, we're behind you, and let's do that together. That's what we've been trying to do. Organize. All right. That's what we've been doing with INN, is bringing people who are like-minded, that need some help, but want to work together to actually make things, to help each other, and to bring awareness to everybody's causes. And it's been phenomenal. Okay. It's just been a whole different world. And I'm proud of what we're doing here. I'm proud of the people that March for Medicare for All. And Savage Joy has done a tremendous job. I co-streamed that event, and I believe you were actually participating, Rob, in that event back in March. There was a 3-day stream where she had doctors and nurses and educators, and it was disability streams. It was phenomenal. I mean, I think there was somewhere about 20 or 22 hours worth of interviews and panel discussions. From a female perspective, from a racism in medicine perspective. It was something to be seen, and a lot of people did see it, thankfully. I was, again, proud to be able to co-stream it to my channels. I think we even had it on INN the day that some of the INN people were there. And one of the ways that we're going to reach people is by streaming this on multiple platforms. This going out to a Rokfin audience that wouldn't ordinarily tune in to a Medicare for All stream or see it, to a Twitch audience that may not necessarily be receptive to it, etc. I think all that's important. And there have to be voices that are doing it, because corporate media is certainly not doing it for us. And the elected officials that we thought were going to do that have not really been talking about it nearly enough, and have not been keeping their foot on the pedal nearly enough. People are desperate. People are dying. People are sick on a daily basis, and now you've given them, 4 masks in a pandemic per household. Thanks. I got 5 people in my house, but the masks don't really necessarily do what they want them to do anyway. 4 N95 masks is nice. It helps a little. It helps prevent you from getting it. That's, and you from spreading whatever you have, but everybody is they've said everybody's going to get that. That's the CDC. That's not me. I'm using the CDC's official thing. Fauci saying that at some point it's going to happen to just about everybody at some variant. And I don't want to go any further on medicine and anything else. Again, there are experts, and I want to rely on experts. You actually have a medical degree, so I certainly would prefer to rely on your expertise there.
Well, yeah, I mean, you said mouthful and you nailed it, man. I don't take any money for my show. I do that on purpose, and I don't get paid. Nobody's getting paid for their participation in this. We do this because we care about it. And as far as Savage Joy, she worked super hard. And I know that if she ever made a decent amount of money off of her show, she would spend almost everything that she has on putting more awareness out there and putting more marches together to get Medicare for all. That's what she cares about more than anything in the world. And to act like, to imply that she's somehow making a bunch of money off of putting this stuff together, that's 100% bullshit. You'll never see her go out and do what Hassan Piker did, which is buy a $250,000 car or buy a, you know, really expensive house. Joy doesn't give a shit about that. Joy wants Medicare for all more than
No, and I
anything.
wish she could. Honestly, I wish
Yeah.
she could, because if she could do that, she would be donating a ton to Association for the Blind, to the Medicare for All associations. She would be bringing real celebrities or real, you know, like a bunch of much larger people together to really push our lawmakers. We're nobodies, you know, we're independents. We're sitting here with the smallest platforms there are. I don't think any one of us has more than 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers on INN. You know, Jimmy Dore's got a pretty big platform. He's got 1 million subscribers. That's nothing in the world in general. And he's one guy. I mean, look, we all have we're all screaming into the abyss, unfortunately. And we're doing all we can to try to get some kind of recognition that, hey, we've got friends and family here that are literally dying, that are getting sick on a daily basis, that are having their dialysis cut off, or it's costing more and more money to get to their dialysis. They're having to ration meds, etc. And again, I think everybody is there. You know, just about everybody on all sides, and we're fed up. But how do we fix this? And that's the question. And you know, our answer is that you have to shut things down, and you have to have some type of direct action that makes the people in power actually sit and pay attention to you, because they don't have to right now. They don't have to.
Yep.
That's Lawrence O'Donnell.
And we have to use every tool in our tool belt to do that. And to your point, the best way for us to hold the politicians accountable is for us content creators is to use our platforms and our Twitter accounts to spread as much information and get people as pissed off as possible, and have word of mouth spread so we can get some momentum built behind the movement. So why would we ever try to organize without using our channels? Like, I don't see how people can have 1 million or 2 million or 5 million subscribers and not use their channel to help organize. If I had 5 million subs like TYT did, we'd get some goddamn momentum behind Medicare for All, because I'd be convincing people on a day in, day out basis to get out in the streets. Here's the events. Here's where they're going to be. Here's the times. Please be there. Show up in the streets. We're going to give some speeches. We're going to rally. We're going to march. We're going to do direct action. Here's how you can do mutual aid. Here's a website. You can use your enormous platform to help organize and to get momentum built behind these things. And in fact, that is exactly what we have to do. If we're ever going to get the politicians afraid of us enough to give us Medicare for all, we must use all the tools in our tool belt to build a movement. But that's exactly why these people come after us, is because what we're doing right now is an effective way to do that. We just have to keep it up for years, probably in the future, to get enough people mad that they haven't given us Medicare for all, and to spread useful information. Like, for instance, Joe Biden can give us Medicare for all right now via executive order. Most people don't know that. They find that out, they're suddenly pissed off enough to walk out in the streets with a whole bunch of their brothers and sisters and march on Washington. And if we had something, you know, a massive movement of, traditionally it takes something like I think less than 10%, it's something like 3% of a population all mobilized and in the streets, and you can get the politicians to do basically whatever you want. If we can get that 3%, which in America is something like 10, 12 million people all marching at the same time, we might actually scare the shit out of the politicians and get them to give us Medicare for all. But you know, we're not going to be able to do that by standing on our soapbox with a megaphone in the middle of a park. We have to use our channels, grow our channels, and use them as tools to get the word out there and help us organize. And also, by the way, we don't just, you know, it's not just limited to what we say on the streams. We also, you know this as good as anyone, Indy, we also network and organize heavily behind the scenes. What the viewer to our channels doesn't realize is that it's not just putting work into your channel and doing your episodes, but we also talk to each other, organize, spread the word behind the scenes as well. It takes a lot of time, and it's calculated. What we're doing has purpose, and it takes time to do that, and it takes effort to do that. So to act like we're just armchair activists, no. I think it's different than that. I think that activism is taking a quantum leap forward. I think it's a new evolutionary step in what an activist can be. if you do what like they do at like what Rome does for RBN, he is not just a commentator who does great work. He also goes out and walks the walk and shows you how you can be a better mutual aid giver, a better communist, if you will, and helping out your own neighborhoods. And by doing that, he inspires people. He spreads the word and he inspires people. I wish all activists were just like Rome. I wish all activists would start their own channels to help spread the word, but also hit the streets and organize with other activists behind the scenes. That is a recipe for success. And I think that's why a lot of these, Jeff and Miami types come out and nerf us and try to stifle that momentum, because I don't think they really care about Medicare for all. I don't think they want anybody to put any effort into anything other than their favorite politicians that they worship so much. That's why they come after us.
Well, and let me tell you, and I'm having a conversation here in the chat with Emo Dragon, because again, we all used to be tight. I was part of the TYT army, and unfortunately, they used to do exactly what you're talking about, Rob. They used to get people out in the streets, and they organized something called Wolf Pack. Now, it was a pack, and I hate packs, and not all packs are awful, but packs are bad. Okay, super PACs are awful, but this PAC was actually a decent one because it was trying and pushing towards getting a constitutional amendment. Okay, I can't remember now. For free and fair elections, I believe it was, right. I don't even remember what Wolfpack was about, but I'm pretty sure it was some kind of free and fair elections. And they got like 5 or 6 states. I remember Kit Cabello. There were a ton of people that were inspired and that were brought into the space over the years. But again, and Savvy's talked about this, and we can almost directly correlate it back to when a big check was dropped in about 2019 or 2020. And we don't know if any further checks have been dropped, and everybody goes back to it. I don't think that it's just the money. I think it's also the influence. And even after they got slapped in the face by the DNC in 2020 and told, no, you're not even going to get credentials to our event, then they were invited and begged to attend and cover the People's Party, and they shunned it. They were begged to cover the Julian Assange extradition case that was happening at Belmar at the Old Bailey. Richard Medhurst was there daily. I was posting about it. And it wasn't just me that was begging them to cover this and to talk about this, because this was important to people that were actually on the left, and not just the people that were interested in pushing people toward the Democratic Party and an electoral solution, because electoral politics has not worked. It is not a solution that's going to happen for us right now, unfortunately. I wish it were. Local electoral politics, you can have a huge influence, and I think we all agree on that. Supporting independents, supporting Greens for local, okay, that don't have corporate backing and corporate ties. And I think, again, this is where we all do have common ground. And like I said, I've never attacked and gone after personally any of these folks, because this is about policy. And for the most part, we all do agree on the policy. And it's like, look, I'm just doing what I can to try to help everybody get Medicare for all. And I don't really have any better solution since I'm not running for office. I do have a platform. I know how to do some streaming stuff and some tech and organize and help some people that do have a platform. So that's what I'm choosing to do with my time, on top of the fact that I'm amplifying anti-imperialist voices that are calling out corruption in government, in corporations, and everywhere else in independent left news and on leftist.today on a daily basis. Okay, and starting shows and learning how to engineer streams and do editing and graphics and all these different things that are Noli. I took the hour off and Rob's off for the day. But yes, I've got a flexible enough schedule that I can do that, thank goodness. But now you just interrupted me. I was riffing. I think that there's a lot of things that we can actually do to support each other, and we would actually support each other if we were more aligned on not necessarily putting 80% or 90% or 100% of our time focused on trying to get people who aren't listening to us to listen to us. A specific group who have said they're with us and have clearly shown for 2 years they're not with us. So I'd rather go after the people that have never heard of us before. Personally, I want to go after the non-voters. I want to go after the independents. I want to go after the people that'll watch our channel and be like, God, those guys, they make a lot of sense. And I don't know why they don't have a bigger platform. So, and part of it is that we're being suppressed in the YouTube algorithm, in the Twitter algorithm. It's partly who we're covering and the topics that we talk about. And that's already been well documented, on top of the fact that corporate news has been pushed and promoted in the YouTube algorithm. And again, that's been admitted to by the CEO of YouTube, that they are pushing more quote unquote authoritative sources versus independent sources, where again, this is where we get into a Bellingcat agency that has clearly been proven to have ties to intelligence and be pushing intelligence sources. We've reported on this, and this is where we kind of come to a flashpoint, is with the gray zone. The gray zone has done phenomenal reporting to expose like Paul Mason, but not just Paul Mason, and it's not just the gray zone. Mid-Press News has done a tremendous amount of work also to expose this. Alan McLeod specifically, I'll shout out, and there are other journalists that I can specifically name, that Whitney Webb, that have called out the corruption within the quote-unquote independent media space that's actually billionaire funded independent media space, or at least multi-millionaire independent media space. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to suck up all of the oxygen outside of corporate media, where people are fed up with corporate media, so they look for somewhere else to go that almost looks like corporate media, but it's backed and it's funded by a lot of corporate, or at least billionaire philanthropic quote unquote dollars that turns out to be a tax write-off for those billionaires. It really works out for everyone there. What happens, though, is nothing changes in the system, and they get very comfortable, and they continue to advocate for electoral solutions when it's been shown that the people have very little influence over what happens in electoral politics. And again, I think everybody in this chat that's here would agree with that. And there are studies that have shown that if you're not a multimillionaire donor, or at least a max donor, it's going to be impossible to get your platform across unless you have a massive following and a massive petition behind you. And even still, again, we work with Tara Reid. I was speaking with her last night. She said, I was a congressional staffer. When I was there, a lot of times they would just say to the staff, say whatever you got to say, take their petition, meet with them, placate them, and then just make them disappear. Because that's all they want to do, is just kind of pat you on the head, give you that platitude, and get you off their plate so they can move on to the next donor or the next problem that they're having to address. But nothing actually gets done. And that's what the most frustrating part is that nothing actually gets done. But the people who are actually trying to call out the fact that nothing's getting done, that's that's us. So, and we're getting kind of a lot of pushback from the people who we used to ally with. And it doesn't really make much sense, except the fact that they don't like the fact that there's mean tweets going out. And then they say right wing. But we still advocate for the exact same policies, but we're right wing because we don't like the media that you're using, and we understand that their funding is coming from a different source, and there's an agenda behind it. And there's a reason why they're saying the things that they're saying and why they're not covering the things that they're not covering. All right, I'm exhausted now. I'm going to let Rob riff for a little bit and rant. So you can take what I said and run off of that one, man. But what do you have to say on that one?
The whole right wing thing, that's another one of those talking points that goes along with like grifter or your doorknob, whatever. They're all classically conditioned to go out there and say that stuff. And these big channels that purport to be leftist, if you want to participate in electoral politics, that's fine. But I tend to agree with Chris Hedges in that if you're going to participate in the duopoly, the only way that you're actually going to get something out of one of the two capitalist imperialist parties is to scare the shit out of them, which means that the last thing you want to do is try to coddle Joe Biden and the squad. If you elect people, like, for instance, I spent a lot of money donating to AOC and some of these other progressives that are now elected, right? As soon as they get into office, then I see it as my responsibility to then hold those people to account and get other people that also donated to the squad to hold them to account. Because if you don't hold them to account, they get co-opted by the system and do nothing. like they have for the last 2 years. So if you want to participate in electoral politics, fine, but just letting the politicians do whatever they want to do once they get elected, that's not participating in electoral politics. What you have to do is get them elected and then make sure they do what they campaigned on. And if you don't do that, then you're never going to scare the shit out of them enough to actually get them to buck the capitalist system that they've just walked into and do what the people that put them there ask for. So you have to, if you're going to participate in the duopoly, the least you can do is try to hold the Democrats that you helped get elected to account. And that's what I would say. I'm beyond that now, because I don't think that the squad members, if they were malleable or able to be forced to do what they campaigned on, they would have done it already with Force the Vote. They would have done it a handful of other times using Tea Party tactics with Joe Biden, meaning they block a bill because there's enough of them. With the way that the House is structured right now, you only need 5 votes to block any bill that comes up, basically, if it's going to be voted along party lines, which has happened at least 15 times. If you do that, you will drive the Democrats into a position where they have to give you what you want, certain things in these bills. Otherwise, you just shoot them all. You shoot the hostage every time it comes up, and do what the Tea Party did on the right to John Boehner back in the day, which is drive him to alcoholism and basically get some people to actually resign because you were such a headache for your own party because they weren't doing what you wanted. And we don't do that. You and I do. But these big boutique left channels, they don't use their channels to actually hold the squad's feet to the fire, which is the most effective way to get them to do something. They coddle them instead and insist you got to play nice. And that's what they've been doing for 18 months. And look where that got us. A whole lot of nothing. And the sad story, or the sad ending to that story, unfortunately, Indy, is that we're in a situation right now where the numbers match up so well in the House that Tea Party tactics can actually be used right now, or for the last 18 months and until they get wiped out in the midterms. You're looking at least 4 to 6 years of Republicans owning at least the Senate or the House, possibly both. So this opportunity that we had between 2020 and 2022, we may not get it again. I mean, maybe not in a lifetime. It's
in a
really
pandemic.
Sad. And that,
2021
exactly.
was starting in 2021.
So the squad may never actually get another chance to do Tea Party tactics because the Democrats were never held to account. Therefore, they turned out an anemic performance that's going to cause a red tsunami in 2022. And yes, again, especially in 2024 as well, if Trump runs again, they're going to either maintain their majority in either the House or the Senate or both, or they might even add to it. And that's directly because these channels and people who really thought that we needed Medicare for all but weren't willing to actually push Joe left, they allowed the Democratic Party to get off the hook for the last 2 years. And then the next logical step is, well, you don't hold them to account. They don't do anything they campaigned on. The populace turns on them, and we get a whole bunch of Republicans in there now.
Ratchet effect.
So yeah, exactly. So the sad part is that the window of opportunity for us to have actually gotten something like Medicare for all via executive order, those days are numbered, and the chances for us getting anything legislated via like the Build Back Better bill, if we wanted universal child care, which was in there, for instance, that's now not going to happen, because as soon as the Republicans take over either the House or the Senate, the Tea Party tactics don't work. So our opportunity is almost gone, and it was largely squandered by a lot of these big channels that helped get the squad elected in the first place. So their defense of the squad has caused a catastrophic cascade of events that's going to cause the Republicans to take over again, and then our leverage is gone. The squad can go do whatever they want. They can say whatever they want on Twitter. They can fight like hell. But if they have a minority in the House, it doesn't matter what they say or what they do. They're not going to get a goddamn thing done for 4 to 6 years.
Well, here's the question. Why hasn't the squad, and again, I don't really like to talk about them that much because they are almost irrelevant when it comes to the halls of Congress, unfortunately, because they won't use their collective power to influence legislation, and they've showed us time and time again that they won't. And that's why we're so frustrated and why we've essentially given up on them. And they've showed us that they've given up on us and that they've abandoned that strategy of using that leverage to actually influence stuff. And instead, they'd rather get on committees, which is helpful, but doesn't really impact and can get you legislation and can get you votes and can get you things directly out of Nancy Pelosi, which, by the way, with that kind of leverage, you can also extract those committee assignments and more as well. You don't just have to get a floor vote, but you can get a floor vote. Heck, we were saying to collectively make sure that Nancy Pelosi never becomes speaker again. And that would have been phenomenal, okay? That they had enough votes between all of them if they had chosen to do that. They did not want to be yelled at on MSNBC and on CNN. They were already being yelled at on Fox, and they did not want to be universally hated across all three networks by the corporate media. And that's really what it boiled down to, unfortunately, was a courage situation. And even Kyle Kalinske admitted, like, that was the one thing that they didn't vet. And
committee assignments don't do a goddamn thing because, I mean, they could, but they're not utilized in the right way. And I'll give you an example. Bernie, when he first dropped out and got behind Joe Biden in 2019, he said, if you elect Joe Biden, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I will be the head of the Senate Budget Committee, which he now is. Now, that gives him tremendous power to hold up bills and hold up defense spending and stuff like that, which is leverage that he could create by himself as the head of the Budget Committee. Now, has he done that? No. So a lot of these people that, like Sam Cedar says, well, it's important for the squad to not rock the boat because then they can get a committee assignment here in the future. Okay, if committee assignments were what actually got things done, then why isn't Bernie using his extremely powerful position as head of the Senate Budget Committee to actually get things done? And my second point would also be, if you want to get committee assignments, AOC already played nice, and then she was trying to get on a committee, and I forget what committee it was, and then the votes came back like she got wiped out. Even though she was playing nice, she got 90% of the votes were against her for being on this certain committee. So if you play nice, it doesn't get you on committees, A. And B, even if you get on the committees, we have evidence to show that you're not going to use your committee status to actually get things done. So I don't know what these guys' plan is other than just to, it feels to me like they're just trying to be nice to the squad and nice to progressive Democrats, quote unquote, because they understand that they have access to these people, which will help their shows. If they're nice enough to AOC, maybe she'll come on their channel sometimes and give them some extra views in the future. Other than that, I don't see any coherent stratagem here. I would argue that if you really want to get on a committee, you have to use leverage that you have to extract that committee assignment. Like they have leverage right now, one of the demands that they could make if they were doing Tea Party tactics is you're going to give us X, Y, and Z. And some of the things we also want is we want AOC on this committee, no questions asked. But they play nice instead, and then they get wiped out. They don't end up on the committee in the first place. So I don't understand how this is supposed to play out to get us any results. I don't understand how Bernie being head of the budget committee in the Senate has gotten us any closer to things like Medicare for all. He hasn't once used his power to, for instance, hold up a military budget. If anything, the military budget's going up more now than it was under Trump. I don't know if you've seen, Biden recently requested $813 billion for the upcoming NDAA, the National Defense Authorization. And they didn't just give him the $813 billion, unfortunately. They're looking to give him $847 billion, which means that now, if that passes, which it will, it just passed the committee, the budget committee in the Senate. If that passes the House, which it absolutely fucking will, it means that the military budget under Biden has gone up $100 billion from where it was under Trump. And Bernie is head of the Senate Budget Committee. So you tell me, is he actually leveraging anything? Is he actually even, trying to get the military budget reduced? I don't see any results here whatsoever. And Bernie himself said, "Oh, I'm going to do it. If you elect Joe Biden, I'm going to be head of the Senate Budget Committee." But what has that gotten us other than $100 billion added to the military budget? They don't do anything. And I've never seen them actually stand up in a substantive way in any way. If we wanted Medicare for all and we wanted it now and we wanted it easily, the squad would be united in saying, Joe Biden can give us Medicare for all via the Social Security Act, Section 1881 Alpha, because there's a pandemic right now, and they would be tweeting it constantly. They'd be doing Tea Party tactics and saying, listen, we'll stop shooting all of the bills in the head. We'll stop shooting the hostage as soon as you do these executive orders. But the one thing that is non-negotiable is you're going to give us Medicare for all via executive order. No questions asked. Otherwise, we're just going to be a pain in the neck for the next, 4 years or 2 years or whatever. So they don't do that, though. They don't tweet about it. So rhetorically, they're not doing anything. They never actually call Joe Biden out publicly on anything that he's failed to do as far as executive order, which are the easiest things in the world. All it takes to forgive student loan debt, to drop the charges against Julian Assange, to legalize marijuana, to get Medicare for all of those are executive orders. And they don't even try to force Joe Biden to do that. Nope. They have these astronomically large social media apparati that they could band together and get millions of eyes on that message right there if they were just repeating it over and over and over again and bludgeoning the Democratic Party into doing the right thing. But they don't do it at all. None of them do.
No, it's just
so why would you give your money to those people? Don't give your money to those people. Give your money to mutual aid. Help out your neighbors. And I don't mean donating to charity, shit like that. That's another scam. I mean, actual things that might get things done in politics, but also just helping out your fellow man. Get involved in your community. Donate your hard-earned money, especially if you're a poor person. Don't give $28 to Bernie Sanders. If you're going to participate in electoral politics, donate $28 to a third party. If you don't want to do that at all, which is where I am at this point, I don't even know if a third party run is going to be possible. Capitalism is so out of control in this country that even a Green Party or a People's Party or a Libertarian Party run is going to be, if they get on the map as a party, they'll immediately be co-opted because there'll be tons of money thrown at them. So I tend to be of the mindset, like, if you have $28 to give, donate it to people that are actually doing direct action, or help out a friend that needs something. Somebody that is having a hard time getting food on the table or keeping their lights on. Give money to them so they can feed their kids rather than donating to Bernie Sanders, who's going to go in there and do what he's doing now, which is a whole lot of nothing. So that's just me. That's just me. And if we're ever going to get something done through politics, meaning the politicians doing something for us legislatively, it has to start with a groundswell of people getting together, like what happened with FDR. They have to force him to do the right thing. The Congress of Industrial Organizations, the Communist Party, the Socialist parties, they all banded together and basically like, listen, we have enough people behind us right now that if you don't do exactly what we say or give us some concessions, you will not be elected again. That's a promise. And so FDR went to all of his, he went to all of these captains of industry and basically made the argument that was, listen, guys, to save capitalism, you're so out of control right now. These people are going to tear you apart. This angry mob is going to tear you apart if you don't give them some things. So we're going to do the New Deal to save capitalism. Because otherwise, these people are going to come in here and shred you guys, and your way of life is over. And you might be in personal danger. And that's how we got the New Deal. That's the only way we're ever going to get people that don't give a shit about this stuff, like the Squad and the Democratic Party, to actually give it to us. Is you have to have an organization like that, enough people that are basically like, you're going to do what we say, otherwise you're not going to get elected, but you might piss us off and force us to the brink, to the point where we have like a transnational riot. Do you want that? Or are you willing to give us a $15 minimum wage? You're going to do these things, and that's the only way you're ever going to get it. I don't even know if that would work. We'll just have to see exactly how far the elites push us in this country, because here's how it goes, man. You try all your options legislatively and through politics. We already tried the Democratic Party. Bernie showed us over 2 elections that doesn't work. So now a lot of us have gone, okay, can't be the Democratic Party. It's going to have to be a third party run. But if we exhaust that and try that for a couple of elections and we can't get it on the map, or we do get it on the map and then it gets immediately co-opted by capitalists, then the next thing you're looking at is a transnational riot and then violent revolution after that. So that's the natural course of things. Read history. And then if they don't give us something along the way to quell that anger, then that's what you're looking at. And we're right on the brink of that, man. I mean, regardless of what Joe Biden tweets about and tells you how the economy is doing well, 99% of people don't believe that shit. They don't believe that the economy is actually doing well. Gas prices are off the charts. Only 6% of people, according to a poll I just saw, actually believe that it has to do with Putin. Most people understand that the Democrats have fucked up the economy, and that's hitting people's pocketbooks. They're getting angrier and angrier and poorer. And as I tweeted, and this went a little bit viral, man, we're on pace to have $15 a gallon of gas before we have $15 an hour minimum wage.
Yeah.
If that happens in this country, look out. Look out. The populace is not even going to be willing to negotiate anymore. You're talking about pitchforks and torches.
Well, we saw the 7-Eleven signs. You know, we saw the 7-Eleven signs when it hit 7-Eleven in California, people freaking out. We're coming up on an hour here, so I wanted to just take a minute and show people some of the channels and some of the ways that they can find and follow Indie News Network and follow Rob's stuff, my stuff, everybody in the network. So the first thing is you can go to indienews.network, and this is a link tree where you can find all of the network channels. And then here also you have a Meet the Members link tree as well. This is a link to a whole other link tree where you can actually find everybody, including Rob Durden and all of his links, and Indie Left and my links, and everybody else in the network, and find out who they are and what they're all about, and find them either on Twitter or on Linktree. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at Get Indie News. We just recently hit 1,000 followers, and we're already up to 1163. It's grown like crazy. Again, we've got 23 members in our network, a diverse group of people that all come together and we all help each other, but we all believe in a lot of the same things and a lot of the same policies, and that's the key. And we're all independent, and we're all self-funded and bootstrapped, and we're all doing this ourselves. And now we're doing this together because it's really, really hard to do this by yourself. So it really helps. I also wanted to give a heads up to Rokfin, which is an ad-free platform for video. Everybody hates the ads in YouTube. So if you go to rokfin.com/INN, you can get to this. And again, Tara, we're streaming this live right here. Tara's live streams have been on here. Jesse Jet's show, we stream live here. Reefer After Dark when he goes live. We've got Uncle Warren streaming Extra Booyah here. Of course, my show Sunday nights, How Do We Miss That, also comes live to this channel ad-free as well. And we just recently hit 500 subscribers. Thank you so much to everyone that helped us and that has subscribed on YouTube. And we really appreciate everyone that has participated in this project that we started about 7 months ago. Just getting a bunch of people together saying, hey, let's all kind of pool our resources and see what we can do, and do some network live streams and some collabs and amplify each other and go as guests on each other's shows and see what we can do to organize. And that's what this is. This is organizing. This is organizing independents who were kind of alone in the universe. And now we are a group and a family, and we've grown. We started as 16 and we're already 23 in just 7 months. So literally we've been averaging one new member a month. Now we're going to probably chill out for a little bit and try to absorb everybody that's in here. But again, just so grateful for everybody supporting this project that we've been involved with, that we put a lot of time, effort, and money into, a lot more money than we ever make. Again, there are no Patreons. There is no super chat revenue or anything for INN. I've been funding this myself effectively out of my own pocket. Any streaming stuff, any assets, any subscriptions to anything, and premium Patreons to support independent content creators. That's really where I'm laying out, and it's because I love doing this, and I love the people that like Rob that are in this network, and like Noli, and Noli says that it's because I'm a badass, but no, it's not because I'm a badass. It's because you guys are all badasses, and people need to see and hear your voices, and I have a skill to be able to help people do that. So that's what I've dedicated my time and my resources and a lot of my skills to, and organizing people to support these great voices and amplify them and get them more of a platform. And we all grow together. Nobody has egos here. It's all about the policy. It's all about helping people. It's all about mutual aid. Okay. And it's all about, supporting direct action and strikes, worker strikes, wildcat strikes, and supporting the masses, and remembering that it's the 99% against the top 1%, and it's not left versus right, and it's not blue versus red, because all the 1% are running away with the green. And I think that's a good way to end it. And I, again, appreciate everybody being here today. We're going to close it for today. We'll probably be back next week. We're definitely going to do this some more. Rob and I have a ton that we can talk about for ages, and we'll see if we can also bring in some different INN members for a one-on-one as well. I really enjoyed doing this, and again, I thank everybody for coming. And Rob, you got anything else? Well, again, next Wednesday, when is it? It's the 29th, right? Do you have the info about that?
Yeah, it's June 29th. I believe it starts at 9 p.m. Eastern. And basically, people are just going to be kind of bouncing in and bouncing out. I am not slated for a specific time slot. I'm just going to show up when I have time that night. And we're going to be talking. There's a lot of people, at least Marianne Williamson, Jimmy Dore, the Bank Sisters, myself, Elias Cepeda. He's INN as well, I believe. And then Jesse Jet's doing music, and he'll probably be doing some commentation as well. And I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting. And this makes me very happy. We're getting the word out there as best we can. And again, this isn't just like, we're doing a show and then taking the money from it. No. You're going to see us out in the streets. Like, we already did this shit. Like, for the people that are like, oh, well, where's the money going to? It's like, well, did you not notice that we did it last year? Did you see the pictures? We already organized. We just want to build on what we're already doing, because we want there to be bigger crowds next year. So one of the ways that we can do that is using our channels to amplify it so that we can have bigger crowds for our hitting the streets. So it's going to be a wonderful event. And then, of course, hitting the streets afterwards is going to be great. Highly recommend you watch the stream and also, participate if you can. That's what this is all about, guys. We can't do it alone. We all that's what this network is about, and how this network interacts with other networks. It's all about, like, we're gathering as many leftists, but it doesn't even have to be leftists, just people who care about their fellow human beings. We're gathering an army of people who want to back each other up and help out in any way that they can. And it doesn't mean that you have to be 100% activist. It doesn't mean you have to be 100% commentator. You could do something as simple as write music, or do some editing, or do some modding. There is a place for everybody in this family, and we need you. We need you. The more of us that get together and do stuff like this, and is this kind of new model of how to do media and news spreads, we will eventually get some of the things done that we want, but we need help. And that's why I implore everybody on my show, and of course on this stream as well, to just kind of get involved. We will help you. You can help us, guaranteed. And if we all band together and we grow in numbers, eventually we're going to actually be able to get some change in this country, be able to influence politics, but also create large events and spread information very quickly. And that's the name of the game, guys. As soon as we get enough of us doing this type of thing and really hitting the streets, we're actually going to get some change in this country. But right now, we're just growing. We need your help. Please help us.
Yep. All right, everyone. Have a great day. Take care of each other. We'll see you soon. Have a great day, everyone.